Dr. Walt Tobin has been a tireless advocate for public education for many, many years. He has worked in the most impoverished school districts in South Carolina and has proven time and time again that a zip code does not dictate a child's success. Since retiring in 1999 as the superintendent of Orangeburg Consolidated School District 5, he served as the interim superintendent in 10 school districts across the state. In 2013 through 2015, he served as the interim superintendent in the Allendale County School District, where his main goal was to personalize learning for every child in the school district. Under his leadership, he was able to place digital devices in the hands of students and teachers in grades 7 through 12. Most recently, State Superintendent Spearman asked him to return to Allendale when the district was declared a state of emergency. At the age of 76, Dr. Tobin accepted the challenge of going back to the Allendale County School District, not because it was his job, but because to Walt Tobin, the education of children in South Carolina is his calling. He is the recipient of multiple awards and recognitions, including the South Carolina Superintendent of the Year given by SCASA, and is a member of both the South Carolina State University Alumni Association and Rotary International. Possessing quiet strength and a humble spirit, Dr. Tobin's fellow educators, volunteers, and community members hold him in the highest regard.
And please welcome to the stage a 2018 SCASA Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Dr. Walt Tobin.
You know how old those pictures were, how granular they were? They weren't digital, I guarantee you that. I'm humbled by this, and I want to thank some folks for allowing me to be acknowledged at this time. I want to thank Molly for nominating me for this award, for Beth for accepting their nomination, and her staff for working to make this happen. I want to thank the children of Voorhees High School who allowed me to practice on them because I didn't know anything to teach them. I became the student when I taught them. They were willing to learn, and I didn't have much to teach them. I became the student for those children. I want to thank the folks that I have worked with over the years. And every school district that I worked with, will you stand at this time for me? If I worked in your school district, please stand. Newberry, Lee, Allendale, I can't name them all. Jim Suba, thank you. Orangeburg, 4 and 5, anyway. I want to thank the lady who's the most important person in my life. I'm going to ask Bernice to stand. Bernice, stand up, please. We've been married last December for 50 years. Bernice has been married for 50 years. I married the first day I saw her. I saw her walk across the campus at Benedict College, and I said to my buddy Joe Wilson, I said, "Who is that?" She said, "That's Bernice." I said, "I'm going to marry that girl." It was a marathon. And I slowed down, and she caught me. I thank her for raising our children. They both have done well. They're good people. I got the sweetest note from our daughter on Sunday that I'm going to frame kind of introspective and retrospective for of things that she shared with me on that occasion. And Bernie says she's still working on me. Some days when I'm home, she said, I'm glad to have you home. I'm glad you're here. And some days I'm the third grader who didn't get promoted. I want to thank my parents and the teachers who worked with me over the years. And I say to myself, Marie talked about her faith. I'm like David. I'm no David, but you know David, God loved David. And David did some awful things. And I've done a few things I ain't happy about either. So he has blessed me, and I am indeed grateful for that. I want to just regress just a little bit. Most of you don't know much about Allendale other than there have been 2 takeovers. Molly took over the school district last summer and asked me to go down to work with the young people and the teachers and administrators in Allendale. And it's probably the right thing to do. And one of the things I do is that I don't say things to folks away from them that I can't say to them. And Allendale has averaged about superintendents every 2 years for the last 20 years or more. And I actually listed them in a PowerPoint and showed the community and the board how many superintendents they have had over the years. So what Molly's trying to do is bring some calm and order to Allendale, some good people there. I work with some very good people. But let me deviate just a minute and tell you a little bit about Allendale. As you saw earlier, every child from preschool, a 3-year-old program to 12th grade has an iPad in Allendale. There are 10 teachers that live in the county. Everybody else drives in. If it were not for my international teachers, my East Indian teachers, and our Jamaican teachers, I don't know how we'd offer education to the children of Allendale. What I would want to tell you is that a young man came to Allendale in the early 70s and started a debate program. And somewhere between kids who are late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, who debated at Southern California, USC, University of Southern California, at Harvard and at Yale, and they distinguished themselves. And when I talk to folks in Allendale, tell me my daughter went to Duke, to Harvard, to Yale, to Princeton, to Vanderbilt, that they work in corporate America, that they travel to India and to Europe. And I asked the gentleman who was responsible for that to come by and see me. He said, no, I'll come to see you. And I said, where are your children? Where are those young people? They're corporate lawyers in Savannah, assistant district attorney in New York. They're all over the East Coast. There are large firms in Raleigh, a child who went to Duke. And I asked him, he said, I'll come by to see you. And he told me, I said, you follow your kids? You know where they are? He said, oh, yeah, such and such a person there. And he leaned back in his seat and said, the little Gardner girls in Paris. So there's a possibility. If you create the right kind of environment for children, things can happen for them. The other thing I want to tell you, that probably no small community in South Carolina that participated in the civil rights movement. Now, if you're in Orangeburg and Sumter or Rock Hill or Columbia, you anonymity of being in that kind of environment, that people didn't know where you were from when you were marching in the civil rights movement in the 1960s. But in Allendale, the Freedom Riders came to Allendale. And they were housed in people's homes. And because the people in Allendale participated in the civil rights movement in that small town. People lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their income. So that's the kind of community that has been, and hopefully with the support we're getting from the State Superintendent of Education and the State Department of Education, we can rebuild that kind of thing. But I tell you about that civil rights piece, it's because we sit here collegially, equitably in this environment. Somebody made this happen. Somebody sacrificed to allow this to happen. And look at the rainbow in this room. God bless you. I wanted to share that with you. America's greatest gift to its people is public education. And the people in this room deliver it. And thank you. I was listening to James Collins the other day, and he said a lot of things, but here's what he said. He said, what makes a great school is dynamic leadership and quality teaching. Harry Wong said it, Chuck and Sandra, about 25 years ago. He said the same thing. That hasn't changed. Now, we got stuff, we got more stuff, and we know more about people, but the critical piece is school leadership and teacher quality. You start with that, other things fall into place. Richard Riley, Dick Riley, the former governor of South Carolina, former Secretary of Education, said, "You are the new patriots." The armed services defend our democracy. You perpetuate it. You sustain it. You make it happen. And here's a prime example. My wife taught for 30 years, second and third grade. So one year in a school district she was working in, they gave her 22 boys and 1 girl. Nobody in this room would allow that to happen. That child needed an advocate. And Bernice went down to the office and told her how she felt about it. She's good at it because she practices it on me. But she went back to that class and taught those 22 boys how to read fluently and advocated and nurtured Julia. Several years ago, Bernice was in a grocery store and checking out or whatever she was doing there. And a lady heard her voice. And she says, "I know that voice." And she went around and found Bernice, and they embraced. And after that, she says, "Julia graduated from the University of South Carolina last year." That's who you are. That's what you deliver. That's how you perpetuate the democracy. That's how you make people's lives better. My charge to you is to teach them well. Love them, teach them to love themselves, and to love each other. Respect them, teach them to respect each other, and to respect themselves. To your administrators out there, make the demands high, but do it with humility. Support them, support your teachers, build those relationships. But I want to tell you, don't forget about your family. People like to talk about quality time. Quantity time is just as important, because sometimes you just want to watch them. You just want to look at them grow up. One year at Denmark-Ola High School, I was high school principal, adult education director, athletic director, and coached varsity basketball. Lots of days, in order for me to see my children, Bernice would bring them with the Pyrex dishes. Now, you young people don't know what Pyrex is. Those are glass dishes. So I could see my children. between a volleyball game and a JV football game. I appreciate her for that. Martin Luther, the great theologian, German theologian, used to come to his classes in the morning and bow to them. He bowed to their potential. He didn't know what great doctor or general or teacher or craftsman was in his class, and he bowed to their potential. This morning, I bow to your service to the children of South Carolina in this country. Dr. King says, I am never all that I can be unless I'm helping somebody else be all that they can be. That's what you do. Brandon and I have been fortunate to travel. We've been to the Mideast. We've been to the top of the Eiffel Tower. We walked up the Great Wall. And we walked on the grounds where Meghan Markle, a couple weeks ago, became a princess. Wow. But I always look forward to putting my feet back on American soil. It ain't perfect. It's the best place I've ever been. I like coming back to South Carolina. You and I, as Dick Riley said, have a responsibility to continue to work to make this the greatest place in the world, to live up to its creed and to its principles. That's our responsibility. Don't shy away from it. Build this democracy for all, for everybody. Despite the rhetoric in Washington, build this democracy and make it a place where all children and all people live in a manner that we want to live. I thank you for acknowledging me in this opportunity. So on behalf of the children and the teachers and the people that I've worked with over time, I want to thank you. I dare you, I charge you to build this democracy in a way that until we get it right, that's your charge. That's your responsibility. That's our responsibility. God bless you.
Congratulations to Marie and Walt, and we thank you for your lifelong dedication to public education and to your community.